Greg Hand's Conservative chair came on a couple of hours ago and said, well, it's not been great for us, but really Labour should have done better. What's your assessment of the night?
Labour are doing well. And I think it's sometimes you don't want to get too focused on the early results because obviously things can change. But one of the things that was happening, even when we were on air between 10 and 1 with not many results overnight, was in the northern seats, maybe the red wall if you draw the definition quite widely, but we were seeing a lot of UKIP collapse and Labour picking up the gains from that. And what we seem to be seeing is in Brexit-y areas, where the Tories obviously did well under Boris Johnson, they seem to be going back to Labour. Like
Stoke, for example.
Yes, exactly. And then in Remainer-y areas, southern Tory blue wall, as we call it, they seem to be going Lib Dem. So it's like the opposite of the coalition that Boris Johnson managed to build, managed to hold on to some of that Remain support in the sort of stockbroker belt and Remainer-y south, while also reaching into Brexit-supporting north. It seems as if the Brexit-supporting north, this is broad brush and early days yet, but it seems as if the Brexit-supporting north is going back to Labour, while the Remainer-y South Shire counties, which was blue, is turning Lib Dem.
Yeah, because what have we got at the moment? It keeps changing all the time. I think we're at 9 now. Councils have been lost by the Conservatives. Labour have gained 3. The Lib Dems have gained 1. I guess it's always the thing, isn't it? And we've talked about this before. How much do local election results actually mean anything for a general election, like in a year's time?
Well, so there are some practical things in that people who go out and vote do actually give us some idea of where people are. And much as, some people do diligently read the leaflets and choose their local councillor based on, their local council policies, people do treat it when they're voting. Most people don't know who their local council are. If they do go out and vote, to some extent it will be a referendum on the government. There's definitely an element of that. In practical terms, in a general election, you need foot soldiers to go and knock on doors. And if you've got lots of councillors, they will go and do that knocking on doors, rather than lots of cross people who were councillors who lost their seats because they blame Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss or whatever. So that's definitely a practical point. It also just momentum, the public mood. There was definitely going into this a sense that maybe the national polls were narrowing a bit. Maybe this wouldn't be quite so bad for Rishi Sunak. Would people start saying, Keir Starmer's not sealing the deal? We won't find out until later in the day, when the Boffins have crunched the numbers, what this might mean in a general election. And this argument about do Labour need to be 7, 8, 9 points ahead in order to be on the march to Downing Street. But if you look at, I was looking at some of the regional breakdown on the vote share so far. Labour are up in every region. The Tories are down at nearly 10 points in the West Midlands. Really losing. Lib Dems are up, it seems, more in the south. Labour are up massively in the north. And if replicated in a general, you do start looking at, not necessarily in terms of numbers, but a sort of 1997 situation where the sort of get the Tories out vote goes wherever people think.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, how much of this is tactical voting, because that's one of the things that I put to Swed Davey when I spoke to him earlier on. Is this angry Tories, people who are angry with the Tories who are voting Lib Dem, or are these people who are really excited at the prospect of Lib Dems?
That's an interesting question. Actually, it's something we're going to look at on my show next week. Why are people switching to Labour? Is it a rejection of the Tories? Because if it is, there's an opportunity for Rishi Sunak to try and get them back. What it doesn't, you can argue that Keir Starmer hasn't sealed the deal yet. Are people proactively voting Labour, or are they voting anti-Tory? And we don't know that yet. But it's whatever Greg Hand says about it's a bad night for Labour. The Conservatives should be really worried that this coalition of get the Tories out seems to be playing out in different ways in different parts of the country. And they don't know which way to face in that fight.